Hey, you guys, what's going on? It's your big dreamer and doer, G Dinero, coming to you today with another TA Tuesday. This time, we're going to be talking about how the markets have kind of been going sideways a little bit after all-time highs for Bitcoin last week. We had a bit of a drop across the board, and now things seem to be hitting the bottom and rebounding. But first, remember, none of this is tax, legal, financial, investment advice. This is your buddy G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. So let's dig right in. As you can see here, we're starting out with the Bitcoin TABI chart, and the TABI chart remains orange, but there's a chance we could pop back down into the yellow level right here. It may not be unheard of, right? There's a little bit less strength after the all-time high of $112,000 last week at the time this was being recorded, which is Monday night because I have a bunch of appointments in the morning. But this is, Bitcoin's at 106 right now, 106,300. And it's starting to bounce off the bottom a bit, but we are in the orange zone right here, well above the 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages. If we move over to the daily chart with Bitcoin and we take a look at where these accumulation zones have been since the low back here in April, we notice that the point of control is down here around $84,000, $84,300. That's where the most volume exchanged hands, but you can see pockets of volume all along the way. There's a pocket of volume here, 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 and up here. Right now, we just bounced off of one of those support lines. We bounced off of, let me get rid of those drawings real quick and get rid of the VRVP. We bounced off of where it says current support zone, kind of hard to see, but the 103,882, that was the 78.6% fib level. You can see that nice bounce right here. Right back up to the kind of longer term support and resistance level of $106,000 or so. If we're able to reclaim that, it looks like we're heading back up towards the $112,000 all-time highs. We are still mean reverted on a daily chart slightly to the upside. RSI is a little bit above 50. MACD remains above the zero line. We did have a crossover, which typically indicates a sell, but now the trend has very rapidly started to go back up again. You'll note that global liquidity just keeps climbing. It's been climbing all year long, guys, hitting new all-time highs every day. That's on the Bitcoin daily chart. If we go over to the Bitcoin 4-hour chart, similar type story, except here we can get a bit more granular and see that we do have this $106,500 level that is going to act as a little bit of resistance as we're on our way back up. Next resistance will happen at 109. We break through that just a little bit at 110 and back up to the 112 all-time high. We are in a slight descending linear regression channel here, and we're nearing the upper part of that. Would be nice to break out of the top of it. If we were to look back and go a little bit longer term, we do have this longer term ascending channel, and we are just kind of skittering along the bottom of it right here, well above the 50, 200, and 100-day moving averages respectively. We're coming off being mean reverted to the downside, typically a buying signal. You'll note that we bottomed right here perfectly on this point of control at 103.5. So that's telling you guys right there that there was significant support. Makes sense. You can see where all the consolidation was back here around this $102,000, $103,000, $104,000 level. That's where we're bouncing off of right now. Trend just starting to peek its head out, turning blue at this time. RSI has come off of being significantly oversold back to neutral again, and MACD is almost back to neutral. Solana, Bitcoin on the daily chart, again, it looked like we were forming an inverse head and shoulders, started to break out and then broke down to the downside and just continuing to support at this 38.2% fib level. If you look at the mean reversion, it's basically flat for the last month. Just beep, no life in this thing right here. Month and a half, 6 weeks of just flat price action, Solana versus Bitcoin. What does that mean? It means they're both going up and down at relatively the same pace right now. If Bitcoin was outpacing Solana, this would be going down sharply. If Solana was outpacing Bitcoin, this would be going up sharply. The price would be. But if I zoom out, you can see we just basically came down to this point right here and then have basically been going flat all the way since February. So end of February, March, April, May, sideways for all intents and purposes. Very, very little fluctuation in that pair. If we look at Solana by itself on the daily chart, a little bit busy chart here, but you can see the pockets this way of volume on the way back up. If we zoom out a little bit, you can really see where those pockets are delineated on the VRVP, or visible range volume profile tool. On that, over the last year or so, the point of control is down here at this 144, 145. Same thing we've been saying for a while now. So if we would have continued breaking out to the downside right now, 145 is very, very strong support on the daily chart. You'll note that Solana is starting to rebound here after bouncing right off the top of this zone of support that I had put on the chart. That's been on there for a couple weeks now. And making our way, and it's also the 50% fib level, which is right here. We're making our way back up towards the 200-day moving average. On the daily, it is not mean reverted to the upside or the downside. We're neutral, and we're pretty much neutral on RSI here as well. If we look at the Solana 4-hour chart, a little bit different picture, right? As we zoom out, we can see that right here, significant support at that 150, 151 level. We basically triple tapped it over the last couple of days. That might even look like a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders. I don't know if you guys see it, but I'm seeing it right here. 1, 2, 3 little inverse head and shoulders. If this is where the shoulders are, actually it'd be up about right there. Then we are basically breaking out and just about getting to where the target would be for that little mini inverse head and shoulders right there. What else do I see? We're reclaiming the 50-day moving average. We did not make it down as far as the 100-day moving average, which, remember, on the long-term chart, that 144, 145 is super strong support. So it's good to see that that's where the 100-day moving average is. If we were to go any lower, that would act as strong support. We're coming off of being more mean reverted than we have been, since you would have to go all the way back here to August 5th to that unwind of the Japanese yen carry trade. That was the last time we were this mean reverted to the downside, believe it or not, on the mean reversion tool. That actual value, if I put over, it's minus 2.52 on the mean reversion. RSI was well below 30 over here. It was down near like 15 to 20 range. So that's telling you this sucker was significantly oversold. We got the buy signal. We've got the green mean reversion dot. We're out the bottom of all three of the confluence clouds. All three of the confluence clouds. Yeah. The three zones, I should say. It's two confluence clouds overlapped, and that's what gives you these three zones: zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. And we are below all three of those zones. And the trend's starting to flip blue. That's a telltale sign. That's a buy signal. Not giving you financial advice, just saying that I did open up a Sol perp trade recently. I hadn't done one of those in a while, but I did one because I felt like we had bottomed out and I felt safe taking one with very little leverage. Moving over real quick to the SUI chart, since I'd been asked about that. We're at the bottom of the ascending linear regression channel that we've been in since we reversed direction on April 7th. We did skitter along the bottom of it right here, getting a buy signal, green mean reversion dot. That's the first buy signal we've had since April 7th. Good to see. That's the same as Solana. So that should tell you that maybe, just maybe, these alts are starting to turn the corner and we're going to get a little bit of price action happening. Moving over to the Tesla daily chart. If we take a look back over like the last, I guess, year or so here, on the Tesla daily chart, what we'll see is the point of control is right here at 250. 250 is super strong support for Tesla. We did wick all the way down to 212 or so right here, or 214 or so. That was back here on April the 7th. We had been back at those levels prior to the election. So it gives you an idea that Tesla made this round trip all the way up, all the way back down in this descending channel. We're basically tagging the upper edges of it right now. And we've started this new short-term ascending channel. What I'd like to see is I'd like to see it capture this support here at the 61.8% fib level, or $340, which is about where we're sitting today. I'd like to see it capture that support there and bounce from here. we could go down as low as this next level of support, the 50% fib level, because once we broke it, we never came back down and retested it. There's also a gap up right here. We are mean reverted to the upside. RSI was over 70 and just barely below it right now. And we do have a crossover right here on the MACD. Those are indicative of Tesla selling off a bit on the daily chart. If we move over to the 4-hour chart and take a look, what you'll see here, here's that ascending shorter term linear regression channel that we talked about. We're basically just grinding up, moving our way on either sides of the midline of that channel. We made our way up to this strong support and resistance that's been there since late 2024, early 2025. That's around $363 a share. We did get a sell signal confirmed by the trend flipping over. You see that we've been basically having all of these red mean reversion dots. And if you were to put a trend line on this, it would basically look like this. It's going down while the price is going up. Guys, that is a bearish divergence. What happens in a bearish divergence? Typically, we see the asset run out of steam and start to sell off to the downside. So don't be surprised if that happens. Not saying it will happen, but what I am saying is, notice on RSI, as strength went down, price was still going up. That's a bearish divergence, okay? And we're just barely starting to squeak to the downside on the mean reversion on the 4-hour. RSI is slightly below 50, and the MACD is starting to drop below 0. None of that is telling you go run out and buy right away, but what it is telling you is I would not be surprised if I were a betting man to see this gap right here fill. That gap is at about 300 to 315. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. You'll also note that all three of the moving averages are converging here, the 100, the 200, and the 50-day moving average, all converging on the basically right at the bottom of that gap that looks like it's going to need to be filled. So not saying it will, but saying there's a chance. MicroStrategy on the daily chart, if we look back over the last, year or so on the daily chart, you'll see that the point of control is going to pop way down here at like $143, $140 a share. But if we look at the more recent price action, where has the vast majority of shares of MicroStrategy exchanged hands? And that's right here, guys, at this 345 level. Remember before I said that was the super strong resistance that we needed to break through. And I said, we tapped it here. I was talking about it back there, talking about it here. We tapped it, broke it, came back, retested it, and sprung off of it from there. It would not surprise me to go back and retest it, but I would say that's the absolute floor in the short term right now for MicroStrategy. They seem to have figured out a way to sell the STRK, STRF. I did hear there's some STRD about to launch too. So he's basically looking at all these different preferred shares and using those instead of the common shares so that we're not diluting the common shareholders. That way he's not having to sell common shares, raising the money through the preferred offerings, using that money to buy more Bitcoin and increase in the Bitcoin yield or the Bitcoin sats per share. We are at neutral for all intents and purposes right here on the mean reversion. And you'll note that the MNAV, sorry, blank for a second, is somewhere around 1.7 per this chart. I think that's pretty consistent with what everybody's saying right now. MNAV back below 2. That's why he's turned off selling the shares for now. Usually turns on the selling of the shares when the MNAV goes above 2. All right, go over here to the 4-hour chart on MicroStrategy. Here's that short-term ascending linear regression channel that we've been in all the way back since February of 2028. We did grind through basically areas of resistance, turning those into support along the way. This is one of those areas down here up at about 350 going down to 325. We resisted. We almost resisted back here, resisted here, finally made it to the top part, broke through it, retested it just a little bit right there. And we're almost back down to the top of that level, noticing that we're starting to turn the corner right here with MicroStrategy and make our way back up into this support zone. Resistance right now is at about 385. That's the middle point of this support zone right here. We need to break through that, break back through 400, and then take another run at 425, which is the 61.8% fib level that we battled with back here in early, mid-May, and mid to late May. We made a bunch of runs at it, unable to break through it. We were just mean reverted significantly, almost 2 standard deviations to the downside. Last time we were like that was all the way back here in April. Look at what we did afterwards. Literally just went straight up and to the right there. So will we do the same thing again? Who knows? But we did have buying signals, RSI below 30, MACD crossover right here on last Thursday. Green mean reversion dots, mean reverting, starting to mean revert back to the upside. You notice the trend's about to flip. Soon as the trend flips, even though we don't have a buy triangle there, everything else is suggesting a good buy at that level. And now we're going to go to Nvidia. On the Nvidia chart, 4-hour chart. I don't do the daily chart here. I just keep it on the 4-hour chart. Nvidia is just grinding since April 7th. We've gone from $86 a share, hit a high recently of $143.84, and right now settling in right around $137.45, just below that 140 level. Looks like we're kind of there's significant resistance at this level right around 140. Doesn't mean we can't break through it, but there is a lot of resistance there. We were considerably mean reverted to the upside. You'll notice this back here on May 15th. That has reset back to just about zero on the mean reversion tool. Last but not least of the ones that I compare here, we do have the MicroStrategy Tesla chart. MicroStrategy Tesla pair chart. We were in this perfect channel since the end of December 2024. So on this 4-hour chart, you'll notice that we were basically just grinding up and to the right, made a high here of 1.49, and then MicroStrategy started to show weakness while Tesla came on strong. As that happened, it drove this pair chart down. That's why you saw this ratio start to go down. First, it looked like we bottomed out here at around 1.13, the 50% fib level. But nope, we kept going down and got a second buy signal down here. You'll notice that the green mean reversion dot the first time was at 2 standard deviations. Everything was screaming that it was time to go from Tesla to MicroStrategy. So if you did right here, you were not wrong. You're just getting a second bite of the apple right now to go from Tesla to MicroStrategy. It all depends on what do you think will be stronger over the next 2 to 4 weeks, because this tends to give you a signal roughly every 2 to 4 weeks. And if you had been following it for the last year, remember in the pair trading video that I made, you would have turned 100 shares of each starting in April of 2024. You would have turned 100 shares of each MicroStrategy and Tesla into 1,194 shares of Tesla, which at this point right here, you would have then traded into MicroStrategy. And to give you an idea of what that number would have been, that would have been, let's see, 1194. Let's give you the real math. 1194 divided by 1.15 or so is where you would have made the swap. You would have ended up with about 1,000 shares of MicroStrategy. So whether you have 1,200 shares of Tesla or 1,000 shares of MicroStrategy right now, that's where you'd have been sitting here. You would not have had anything if you're swapping 100% at a time to swap down a little bit lower. So you lost out on a little bit of the actual swap. I personally think we're going to see MicroStrategy start to come back alive as he stops tapping the ATM. Tesla, on the other hand, Tesla seems to be taking a breather. Again, sometimes you have to refer back to the individual charts. Tesla looking a bit oversold and selling off, maybe coming down and filling this gap. MicroStrategy, on the other hand, already did sell off and looks like it's starting to turn the corner and mean revert back to the upside. So that's what I see right now with that MicroStrategy Tesla pair. All right, guys, so if you want to see more content like this, make sure you like this video. Comment below. What'd you like best? What did you learn today? What would you like to see more of? And last but not least, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. I only ask for that so you don't miss these updates as I give them. I tend to be doing them a little more frequently than I did before, as well as see other individuals in the space that are making videos like mine. The more repetitions you see, the more you actually get it. If you want to really get those reps in, go ahead and book a course with me. I teach a course that you go through at your own pace. It's called TradingView and Technical Analysis. I not only go over the IADSS indicators, but I go over all the free and built-in indicators that are built into TradingView. I go over basic technical analysis, all of it. It's hours of instruction that you can go through at your own pace for one low fee. Same thing with the Understanding Options course. I do a lot around options. I created an entire course that within 5 hours, you'll be trading options, at least the basic ones like a pro. And if after all that, you still have questions, concerns, really want to dig deeper, book an appointment with me. I've taught over 600 people just like you how to trade, both using TradingView and technical analysis and the indicators, as well as options trading. So thanks for tuning in today, guys. This is G Dinero signing out. Here's to you increasing your financial literacy to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. We'll see you next time.